growing up, I remember days where I would wake up and my mom would be in the kitchen fixing breakfast for my entire family. And I remember my favorite part of those days was waking up and smelling the freshly cooked tortillas that she would make by hand. As young college students or young adults who are beginning their newly independent lives, something that we desperately need are recipes that we could cook on our own so that we could feed ourselves now that we're not relying on our parents to cook all our foods. And I think that tortillas, or more specifically handmade tortillas, are a very tasty, simple, and cost-efficient food for us to incorporate to our everyday meals. And in this speech, I will demonstrate to you how to make your own handmade tortillas. My speech will focus around three main points. The first being what ingredients you need and how to mix them properly. Secondly, how to get your dough and press it out into the right size and shape. And then finally, how to correctly cook it so that you could get a nice warm tortilla to eat. So let's begin by talking about what ingredients you need to make your own tortillas. The main ingredient is going to be this ground dried corn flour. This brand is Maseca. This is probably the most commonly used one. You've probably all seen it at any grocery market that you've been to. You could also add a little regular flour just to give it a different taste or texture to it. And then you'll also need some water. It doesn't have to be hot or cold or anything specific. It all just depends on how you want to make it. And then you're going to need a mixing bowl to mix it all up together. And I don't personally use any portioning. I just kind of eyeball it, depending on how many I want to make or who I have to feed. So you just pour that into your mixing bowl, however much you need. And then if you want to add, you can add some flour. And then you could get your water and just pour it in there. And the portioning for the water is kind of important. It's the most important part, really. If you add too much water, your dough is going to be too sticky, and you're not going to be able to press it out right or even roll it up into the ball that you need. And also, if you don't add enough water, your dough is going to be too dry, and when you go out to cook it, your tortillas are going to be like cracking and stuff, and it's not going to come out nice. So then you just go in here and just start mixing everything up. And you want to make sure you pay attention to how the dough is coming out. And after you're done mixing it, you should end up with something that looks like this. Like this. And then you're ready to start preparing your dough and start pressing it out. And then moving on to the tools you need to press out your dough. The two most important things you're going to need are this tortilla press that you can all see here. It's kind of old. This one's made out of metal, but you can get any that are made out of different materials. There's wooden ones or plastic ones even. And then you're also going to need this Ziploc bag that you cut so that you can fit right into the tortilla press. You use this so that your dough doesn't stick to the press when you're pulling it off. And so what you're going to do is going to come over here and get just a small portion of the dough, roll it up into a little ball. And the tortilla press is a very important tool that is commonly used in Mexican dishes. Chef Aaron Sanchez talks about the 5 most important things he needs in an article with Restaurant Hospitality. And on that list, he included his tortilla press. Because since he's a Hispanic or Latin chef, he likes to use a lot of tortillas with his dishes. And so when you're pressing out your tortilla, you want to make sure that you don't press out too much, or you don't press down too hard. You don't want to flatten it out too much, or else you're not going to be able to take it off the Ziploc bag, and you're not going to be able to place it onto your griddle to start to cooking it. And you also don't want to press too lightly, or else your dough's going to come out too thick and it's not going to cook all the way through properly. So you want to make sure you press it out nice and even, that you get a nice even dough. And that's how your dough should look like once you've pressed it out and you're ready to start cooking or moving on to the step to cook your dough. So once you've pressed out your dough and you've got the right size and shape for your tortilla. You want to make sure you've properly warmed up the griddle. You don't want to start using cold or else your tortilla is not going to cook properly. So make sure that before you start using it, you warm it up a little before when you're pressing out the dough, when you're mixing it. And so you go over here and you grab your dough, you peel it off, and you want to evenly place it on the griddle. If you don't press it out or lay it out right, you could get some air bubbles, and that won't allow the tortilla to cook properly. And you also don't want to touch the dough right away. Since we're not using any oil, it's going to stick to the griddle a little bit. So you wait a couple seconds before you actually move it around and flip it over. So after a couple seconds of letting the first part or the first side of it cook, you can move it around and then you flip it and just cook it on the other side. And that should take about 1 or 2 minutes just to cook. And once you're done cooking it, your final product should look something like this. And you're all ready to, or you've made your tortilla. With this, you can make a lot of dishes. You could make quesadillas or make some tacos or whatever you want. So in conclusion, in this speech, I demonstrated how to make your very own hand-pressed corn tortillas. My speech focused around 3 key points. The first being what ingredients you needed to make the tortillas and how to mix them properly. Secondly, how to press them out into the right size and shape. And then finally, how to correctly cook them so that you could get your final product of a nice warm tortilla. And hopefully this speech taught you how to make tortillas so that you could go on later tonight and make your own dishes. Thank you.